Good morning and welcome to the show. This is In Touch, and I am Beth Christie, your hostess. And In Touch is our half-hour public affairs show. It runs every week, and as I mentioned, it is a public affairs show. So if you are a nonprofit group or organization here in the Hudson Valley, and you'd like to talk about the issues that are important to you, what members of the community are you serving? What are the things that you look around and you notice at the Hudson Valley, like what if, could there, imagine? Those are the kinds of things that we'd love to have you on the show and talk about. If you are a company here in the Hudson Valley and you are helping out a nonprofit organization, maybe through an educational campaign, maybe a membership campaign, maybe you are helping them fiscally, then we'd love to have you all on the show as well to really talk about what's going on here in Hudson Valley and Orange County and Sullivan County. So at the end of the show today, I will give you a whole bunch of ways that you can get a hold of me and talk about when we can get you on the program. So let me turn a microphone on. And we are welcoming back an amazing organization that does so much. In fact, I think we could do a show every 2 months, I think, and we still wouldn't cover everything that Family Services does. So Whitney Humphrey is here. She is the Director of Development for Family Services.
Hi, Beth.
Hello. Now, What I think is really great, and I want everyone to know, is that you had said that you have been with Family Services for 14 years, and your title before Director of Development was?
So I spent 14 years with the Center for Victim Safety and Support, which is our victim services program serving Dutchess County. A hat I wore for a long time, and I was so thrilled to be a part of those wonderful services. Mm-hmm. And just recently in the spring, I switched hats and joined the development department. And what my goal is now is to raise awareness about what we do at Family Services and also funding to support the community programs that we have, which I know because I've seen firsthand the impact that we're making in the community.
Which I think is really powerful. You know, we always have we should just turn the microphones on at the beginning because we have this whole conversation just to get ready, because I don't ever prepare a lot of questions. I never liked that. I never wanted anyone to feel like this was a panel discussion. And the second you answered a question, man, I'm coming right back at you with another one. I never liked that, and I never wanted to do that to anybody. But as we mentioned, you know, when you ask folks to come out and do events and even the really fun events, you're still asking folks to do something.
Right.
And so I always feel like you need to show them why. Why is this important? And so the fact that you can look at the impact and what the dollars raised can do, families and individuals, lives that are changed, that are helped, that in some instances could be saved.
Exactly.
Because of this, I think that that's very powerful, because today we're talking about Walk a Mile in Her Shoes.
That's right.
And which, first off, is a really fun event.
Yes, it is.
Visually, it's hysterical. We'll explain that in a second. It is. But it raises awareness. And
yes,
now
it does.
It raises funds. So you had been talking about the fact that you were involved in this from the very beginning.
Yes, I was. So Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, this is actually our 7th year. And what started is an event to just raise awareness on college campuses. We have grown over the last 7 years to really bring in everyone in our community to say no more to sexual assault, domestic violence, and gender violence. So this event is completely open to the community, adults, children, families. It's a family-friendly event. And as you mentioned, it does create some laughs around a topic that I know is very serious.
Right.
But what we try to do at Walk a Mile in Her Shoes is create an environment where we can start to have what can be some difficult conversations with folks young and old, to just raise awareness about what's happening in our community and lend support to an amazing organization who's working every day to eliminate this violence. It's a fantastic event, and I just want to make sure that everybody can feel free to come on out on October 14th.
Now, I like how you said it is for family, it's for everyone, and the fact that it began by raising awareness and on college campuses. But there's been more and more, and you know, forgive me, I'm obviously just a layperson in this and what I see and stories and what I hear, and that it, which breaks my heart, that it feels like the age is getting younger. So this isn't just like, oh, it starts in college.
Oh, exactly.
That's not what
That's not what the statistics tell us.
Right.
Sadly, the statistics are showing us that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are going to be sexually abused before they're 18. And, that statistic is staggering. It shows that we have work to do as a community, and creating a place where children who are young, teenagers, college students, adults, feel free to share what's happening with them without fear of judgment or retaliation. So I think that as a community, we're doing a much better job of creating a space where people can talk about sexual assault and domestic violence, but we can always do better. And one of the ways in which we're trying to do better is walk a mile. And just inviting the community out to have these conversations in a way that's family friendly and that's fun, as much as we can have fun with a topic of this nature.
Sure, because if you can't talk about something and something of this magnitude has happened to you, then logic in my brain says that it continues to hurt you.
Exactly.
It continues to take more away from you. It's already taken enough. It shouldn't take any more.
Beth, as you're talking, I mentioned before I was 14 years in doing direct service work with clients. And as you're talking, I have so many faces that are running through my mind of adults who experienced violence as a child. And it stuck with them in ways because they did not have the voice to say what was happening to them, or maybe they said what was happening to them, and the circumstances in their life, they couldn't find safety. And so I've worked with so many adults who have carried that with them throughout the years, and it impacts their life into adulthood. That's why services are so important, and that services are available to adults, children, and families who have experienced this violence, because it's something that affects us all.
Even just walking in a store, in a mall, there have been times when I've watched, obviously, teenagers, and there is a behavior, and sometimes my alarm bells go off in my head that someone is controlling. You may see, you may not see a physical altercation, but you hear a verbal one, and you hear these words and disrespect and meant to hurt and meant to be controlling. And sometimes I always go, did they think that that's okay?
Oh, gosh,
is that like considered, oh, well, that's just the new normal? And I'm like, no.
Right. I think you're right, Beth. I think that it's so much has become tolerated in our world these days. With social media, it almost feels safe to say something hurtful to someone.
Yes.
Part of the work that we're doing as a community and at Family Services is a lot of prevention work. How can we work with young adults, college students, and as much as we can, the younger the better, about what's okay in a relationship. That it is not okay for a partner to text you 20 times a day and wonder what you're doing. It's not okay for a partner to tell you what to wear. It's not okay for a partner to say ugly, hurtful things about you. But sometimes, in youth that I've worked with, they don't know that that's not okay because they see it all over the place. And they don't know that that's unhealthy. And so helping young people find their voice to say, that's not okay. I'm not going to tolerate that. And I don't want to be involved in a relationship where I feel bad at the end of the day.
Yes. Because, it's funny, there was when I was younger, and I think that if there had been, and not that I'm 100 years old, but when I'm saying if there had been cell phones, but you all understand that cell phones weren't around at the very beginning. Never mind. I'm making myself even older. But there was a relationship, and it did not last long, because now that I look back on it, I feel like had there been cell phones and had there been texting and had there been social media, that's exactly what would have been happening to me.
Okay.
Because that's what was happening on the phone. That was happening in the hallways in school. That's what was like. Friends were like, hey, well, he just wanted to know what you're doing. And that's how that, again, I'm not that old, but that was the text of the time. Like, if he was in another hallway in another class, then one of the friends would be up and you always felt like you had eyes on you. And I remember thinking, this is not normal. Thankfully, my parents and my mom, both my parents, my mom and my dad's like, nobody, that's not how you treat people.
Right.
You don't treat anybody that way. You don't treat a friend. You don't treat a woman. You don't treat anybody. It doesn't matter. That's not what you do. So thankfully, I'm very grateful because sometimes people don't have that support. Again, you can't talk about it. You know, you feel like maybe it's my fault. Maybe I did something wrong.
Right.
Maybe, you know, you internalize it because you really, really like this person.
Well,
and you really, really want this person to like you, and you'll jump through hoops.
And I agree. And what's amazing so often is, you know, our well-meaning friends and family might support some of that behavior because after all, isn't that just love?
Right.
When someone wants to be with you and they care about you, they call you throughout the day. And when someone wants to spend all of their free time with you, isn't that what love is? Isn't that what we teach our children to want in relationships? So often it can be so confusing for people who are involved in intimate partner relationships that are unhealthy and moving their way towards physically violent, because it is a progression that occurs that sometimes friends and family might just kind of push
without
back
meaning to, not even realizing.
You might have an individual who is somewhere inside them, they're thinking, boy, this doesn't feel right. And then when they talk to their mom, you know, their mom says, oh, honey, he just loves you. Right. And so it kind of quiets that voice inside a person who might be thinking, boy, something just doesn't feel right with this. So it can be really challenging for anyone, young or old, to realize what's happening and feel safe enough to step outside of it and get help.
And that's where, I mean, this is certainly not the only event, but that's one of the things I love about walking a mile in her shoes is that this is a place where you can ask those questions.
Right.
You can have those conversations. Right. You can come and participate and educate yourself, not judging anyone else who gave you the best advice that they possibly could, but just really stepping out on your own and going, no, my alarms are still going off.
Right.
Something isn't right. So let's talk details about Walk a Mile in her shoes. You know, we've kind of hinted, you know, that visually it looks funny.
Yes.
So we should probably tell people why visually it looks a little funny.
So Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, as I mentioned, it is our 7th year doing this event, and it's on October 14th. It's a Saturday. I already know the weather is going to be perfect.
You're amazing like that.
Well, you know, I just know it. We're going to be at the beautiful outdoor campus at All Sport Health and Fitness down in Fishkill, and they're so gracious to host us every year, and it's wonderful. But it is rain or shine, so if it does happen to rain, and I know it won't,
that's right.
They have that beautiful facility inside that we're going to be moving into. But what started Walk a Mile in Her Shoes is really an international movement. It was a men's march of men literally putting on high heel shoes and literally walking a mile in her shoes. And it was not to make light of sexual assault or domestic violence or in any way, shape, or form to equate someone's experience as a victim in walking in shoes, but just something to draw attention to the fact that there are people in the community. Again, what started is mainly a men's movement, standing up and saying, this isn't okay. This is my mom. This is my sister. This is my daughter. This is my aunt. This is my son. This is my neighbor. I'm not okay with this violence. And so what was visually funny about the event was watching all of these supportive men walking a mile in high-heeled shoes. Yeah. And, you know, we have really opened up the event to the entire community over the last few years. So men, women, children, people of all ages, please come out and walk. If walking in high heels is not something that you're comfortable in, that's okay. Come on out and walk. Right. My own husband, love him dearly. I have found him the most beautiful pair of red shoes that I am going to bedazzle because he needs fancy footwear, as does my own daughter, who comes each year. Because like I said, this is a family-friendly event, and it creates a space where we can have some conversations. So everyone is welcome to come out, and we will all be walking a mile. In recognition of sexual assault and domestic violence and gender-based violence, to try and raise awareness about the problem that we have here in our community, because we have it here in our community, and also raise some funds to support the services that help the lives of so many of our neighbors.
Now, I must say that I think, was it 3 years ago, I believe I saw some tutus on.
Yes.
There were some, so, which I thought was really great, because when you said if you can't do high heels, which we get, because trust us guys, there are days when we don't want to wear those either. We completely get that. But I thought that that was very powerful. And it was with a dad that had a little girl.
Yes. Yes.
And I just thought that that visual, and you're right there. And again, the saying, you can't really understand somebody unless you walk a mile in their shoes.
Right.
Unless you know what that is. And I just thought that while I know it's a conversation starter, I just thought it was a very sweet way to show support. I'm right here. We're not going anywhere. This is not okay. And we're gonna do everything we can to address this.
And that was an amazing dad who was there to support his daughter. You know, he was walking for her.
Yeah.
And each one of us have a reason why we're walking. It might be our own personal story, the story of a friend, the story of a family member. You know, sadly, given the statistics, it could be all of the above. So many people are impacted by sexual and domestic violence that if you don't know it, you should know that a friend or a family member of yours has probably experienced this. And what can we do to create an environment that's safe for people to talk about their experience and begin to work through them and feel safer?
How do you want people to register that day? Let's get the nitty gritty.
Great.
Who, what, when, where, why, how stuff.
So if anyone has questions or wants more details, I really would encourage them to go to our website at Family Services. So that is, of course, www.familyservicesny.org. And when you land on the homepage at Family Services, you are going to see a red high heel. So just click that high heel, and that'll take you to all the information that you need to know. Of course, that it's on October 14th. It's at All Sport Health and Fitness at 9 a.m. But there's also a link there where you can register your team. So if you're a student and looking to get your friends at school involved, or you are a business and want to sponsor the event, or you want to create a team of people in your business, you can register that. And everybody can come to walk. And certainly you don't have to fundraise in order to come and participate. All are welcome, whether they raise money or not. But oftentimes teams are choosing to set a goal for themselves of, you know, as a group, we're going to raise $1,000, and every bit of that goes to support the work at Family Services and providing help and hope to victims and their families.
Is there any way that folks can donate online? Let's say maybe they can't do a team, maybe they're out of town or whatever.
Through that same website, they can do that. So if they go to familyservicesny.org, and click on the red shoe, there is a button there that says donate.
Okay.
And even if you are unable to attend the event, or you just don't think you can get enough people together to start a team, but you want to donate to the cause and donate to Walk a Mile, we will be so grateful that you took the time to do that. And every bit of that can be done through the website.
I love that, because a lot of people ask that question. You know, if you have kids in school, they may have events going on. You don't really know. And so I always like to offer that. If someone like me, I'm having some mobility issues, we're about to start treatment on my left leg.
Oh, good.
I'm going to be sitting for a little while. So part of me is like, there could be somebody else who has that going on that they would be there, but they're not really that mobile. So I always like having that option for people so that they are aware of that. You know, Whitney, when you talk about the fact, the way that you said it before we turned on the microphones, that, you know, you have seen the impact of this. And not just the funds, but also the awareness.
Right.
The ability for people to talk about it, or maybe even for people to say, how can I, and this may even be another, I mean, everything is powerful. I say that, but everything about this is powerful, is, you know, as an individual, how can I help someone? I mean, are there signs? Is there something that I should look for? You know, an alarm bell going off in your head, is that enough to go by?
Right.
What do we do?
Oh, goodness.
As a community?
What a wonderful question. And the first thing that I would say is trust your gut. If something inside of you is making you feel like something isn't right, it probably isn't. And not being afraid to ask your friend or your family member if they're okay and express your concern. And, you know, equally as important, and I think, having worked with victims for so many years, the single most important thing that we as a friend or family member or colleague can do when someone shares their story that they've been hurt, whether it's sexual assault, domestic violence, or gender-based violence, is to believe them. So often, the first thing that well-meaning people do is say, "Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure that happened?" And that is one of the quickest ways to shut down that conversation. So just believing the person, you are an individual that they have trusted to share something that has occurred to them, and respect that they've come to you with their story, and believe it and say, "How can I help?" Every victim is different. Every circumstance is different, and every way that a victim wants to be assisted is different. It might not always be the way that pops into our head, or we need to go to law enforcement right now. We've got to call 911. We've got to go to the hospital. That's not always the right path for victims. It's an option, and all options need to be explored. But what's really important, first and foremost, is that victims are believed and that they understand all of the options that are available to them so that they can pick which one is right for them.
You explain that so beautifully.
Oh, thank you.
You do a beautiful job, because I have to admit, I think I'm one of those people where in my head I'm like, well, we have to fix it. And we have to fix it right now.
Right.
So I am pretty sure that I know the best way to fix it.
Right.
I mean, and I'm not a horrible person. I don't consider myself a horrible person, but I wouldn't be trying to overpower. But the way you explained that, I just realized, no, you can't do that. They have opened up about something.
Right.
And I love the way you said it. Just help them understand all the options.
Right.
And let them figure out what it is.
In their own time.
Yes, that's the other thing. You can't do it like right now.
Right.
We have 30 minutes. Let's go.
Right.
You can't.
I think it's human nature. As a mom myself, if my daughter comes to me and says, "Mommy, I'm hurting," my first job as their parent is to hop in and try to fix it. So I think that that's just human nature of caring individuals who see someone hurting and want to help. But it's important to take a step back from that and realize that, the person who has been hurt, they need to have as much control over their situation as possible, and allowing them to hear all of the options and make the decision that is right for them in that moment is the most important support that we can give them at that time.
Yeah, when you said that phrase, have as much control over it as they can, because control was taken away from them.
Yes.
It's gone. And you need to help them get that back. So they can even start to think.
That's right.
Wow. Goodness. Every show I say this, there is something that I learn in every show, in every organization, and today is just extremely powerful. It's just very, very powerful. Again, the reason why I say that you guys, you should be here on a regular basis, because there's so much that you do, and it is so important. And I also want to go back. Do we have time? We have a couple minutes. I want to go back to what you said, that yes, this is happening in our community.
Yes,
it is. And sometimes people go, nope, not happening here, not happening in my school or my church or my neighborhood or my family.
Right.
That may not be the case.
That's correct. It's, I can share that in 2016, Family Services impacted the lives of 8,500 children and families. Those are our friends and neighbors. And in particular, the Center for Victim Safety and Support, they reached over 3,000 individuals who had been impacted by crimes like sexual assault, domestic violence, robbery, any of those crimes. This is happening here in our community. And we are so lucky to live in a community that takes this seriously. Getting back to Walk a Mile in Her Shoes, the support of the community to come in and spend their Saturday morning, when I know there's a lot of choices of places that people can be on an October morning, for folks to come out and choose to spend their time gathering together to raise awareness and funds for Family Services so that we can keep helping the community. It really brings me a lot of joy to watch, and it makes me really proud to be part of this community.
I agree. This community, I've lost track of how many causes, organizations we've talked about on In Touch, things that maybe organizations that were there for a moment that were desperately needed, and now that need has passed. Whatever. People here have responded. They answer. They donate, they give, they show up, which, with a walk a mile in her shoes, I'm hoping that everyone does that. I also really like the fact that it started as a men's march so that women in their lives would know that they were there and they're supportive. And I would encourage everyone to do that. You talk about a family event. You have a little girl, you have a niece, you have a granddaughter.
Right.
You have a son. It does just let them know that you are there for them and that this kind of behavior is not tolerated. It is not okay. And, part of me also thinks, like you said, it's open to everybody. If you're listening this morning or you know someone who, that if you've been impacted or someone else has and you really didn't know where to go, maybe it was just too official to pull up in front of a big building, and park your car and go in. This is a little gentler.
Right.
And you can find someone there and you can get information. And then you can use it whenever you want it.
Exactly.
But you can gather information there on that day. And I think that's also a gift that you give to the community.
Oh, thank you so much. And, as I mentioned, I feel so fortunate. I know how incredible the community organizations that we have here in this community are, but the business community have stepped up in such a way. And businesses are on board to support Walk a Mile and to share in that message that this type of violence is not okay. HealthQuest has been a major sponsor of this event for the past few years. Of course, Mix 97 here, and Mark Bolger has really been a champion of this for so many years.
Yes, he has.
And he has some fantastic shoes, I might add.
I love that.
It's wonderful. And Southern Dutchess News and Dutchess Community College, those are just a sampling of the partners that we have. And I could go on, and you can find a list of everyone in the business community. That's what I was just going to
ask. Okay.
On that website, when you go to familyservicesny.org and again click on the red shoe, you can see all in the business community who are supporting this work. So it's not just about individuals and teams coming together. Our businesses are coming together and supporting this really important community event.
Yeah, and I always, if I MC an event, if I go to just kind of help out and organize an event, I always point out if there is a program, if there's a flyer, if there's a website, if there's any place where you can look and see businesses that are supporting the same event and cause that you are, then take a look at who those businesses are, because then to me they should get your money because they're helping it right back out in the community.
Exactly.
They're not just taking the money and sending it off in some other state. They really are keeping the money here and to help out an organization. Even if the organization has branches in other states, they're still helping out here.
It's staying local.
It's staying local, and I think that that's very, very powerful. Okay, believe it or not, we have 2 minutes left.
My goodness.
See, doesn't it go like I say that and people go, no, this is a half hour, but it goes really fast. So, Whitney, anything else that you want to mention about the event that maybe I forgot to ask, or any closing comments you have with folks?
I would just remind folks that we are October 14th. It's at 9 o'clock. All Sport Health and Fitness down in Fishkill. I promise you we will be finished up by 11 so that if you have a day filled with activities, I am hoping that you can squeeze out 2 hours to spend on this really important topic and join us as we really work to eliminate sexual assault, domestic violence, and gender violence. All the information that you need to start a team, to donate, to see the incredible businesses that are sponsoring this event is available on the Family Services website, which is familyservicesny.org. And I really hope I see everybody on the 14th of October.
Whitney, thank you very much. Sometimes it's not always easy to put yourself behind the microphone. You did beautifully.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the work that you've done. I mean, over the past 14 years that led you to this moment in your life right now. I mean, everything, I always believe that, you are in the right place at the right time with everything you need. And you certainly are that.
Oh, well, I thank you. And thanks for letting me come in and share what we're doing at Family Services and hope and get the message out about Walk a Mile and getting the community out there to support.
And you'll be back.
Of course.
Because as soon as the microphones are turned off, you guys don't know, but we're opening up that calendar. All right, Whitney, thank you so very, very much. And hopefully there's something that you've learned from the show today, and hopefully we see you on October 14th. Now, whatever station you're listening to this morning, please go to their website And there's a search button in the upper right-hand corner. Just type in touch, and this show will come up. All the other programs will come up, and within that article, we'll have links to everything that Whitney said. So whether it's to participate, form a team, donate, get information, we have all that for you. If you'd like to be on the show, here's how you can do that. You can email me, beth.christie@townsquaremedia.com. You can call 845-471-1500, extension 159. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Pinterest, on Instagram, and even write a letter with a stamp. I realize that's scary, but you can still do that too, and we'll get it. We'd love to have you on the show. Take care of yourself and those you love, and we'll see you right here this next week.